Hello and welcome to this tutorial, and in this tutorial we'll be finally writing the last piece of code for our database application, and then finally we are going to run this application on the emulator. So once we have added the two methods, only one method is remaining, and that method is nothing but the method to display the database results onto the activity. So we go here and we create the method by typing public, and as this is going to return a string, we type in string and we name this method as database to string. And inside this method we are going to create a variable called string. So we type string, let's name it as db string, which stands for database string, and let's initialize it to an empty string. Now we get a reference to the database, so we type sqlite database db equals get writable database, and then we need to pass in a query which is used to retrieve the results from the database. And if you know SQL, you might also know that the query which we use is select star from the table name where some condition happens. So in order to type in the query, we simply type string, and we are going to store the query into a string which is named as query. So we type string query equals, and we type in the query. So we type select star, and star is nothing but we basically select everything from the table. Then we type in from, and then we need to give the name of the table from which we want to select. So our table name is the table products. So we copy this, go here and paste it. So we are going to select from this table right here. So after this we specify the condition, so where 1. So basically it is going to retrieve each and every element from the table. So once this query is done, the next thing which we need to do is that we create a cursor, and the cursor is nothing but it is something which is always going to point to the current row. So in order to write a cursor, we type cursor, and let's name this cursor as C. So we type cursor C equals db dot raw query, and to this we pass in the query which we have just created. So we type query comma null. So these are the two parameters which we need to pass in the cursor. And if you don't get what a cursor is, so a cursor is basically some pointer which is always going to point to the current row so that we could perform some operation to the current row. So as we are going to display the database row by row, so we are going to need a cursor, and you just need to remember how to declare a cursor. And the next thing which we need to do is that you need to move the cursor to point to the first position. So we type c dot move to first. So it is going to place the cursor at the first position. Now the next thing which we need to do is that we need to traverse through the database unless and until we encounter an end of the table. So we encounter an end of the table while cursor is at the ending position. So we give a while statement to loop through the table, and then we specify not c dot is after last. So basically it is going to execute the code unless and until we reach the end. So now once this is done, we need to specify a condition like till the product name is not equal to null. We are going to specify, or we are going to run some code. So we type if c dot get string, and the get string method is basically going to return the string value. Then we get the column index, so we type c dot get column index, and we want to get the column index from product name. So we type product name in there, and if this is not equal to null, then we want to run this code, and that code is nothing but we need to just print out the result from the database. So we type db string plus equals, and this plus equals means that it is going to display the current string as well as the previously retrieved string. So we type plus equals c dot get string, and then we type in c dot get column index, and inside we pass in the product name. So we type product name over here. Now finally we need to have a line break in between these two strings. So we type db string plus equals a slash n, and a slash n stands for a new line. So whenever we execute this code, it is going to retrieve a result for us. And when we retrieve the current result from the current row, we want to make the cursor to move to the next row so that the result from the next row could be retrieved. So we type c dot move to next, and it is going to make it point to the next row. So once everything is done, we type db dot close, which is going to close the database, and then we finally need to return the db string. So we type return db string. So basically now we have written the code for all the three methods for adding, deleting, as well as displaying the database contents onto the main activity. And now there is some part which is remaining, which we need to add into our main activity.java, which we are going to continue in the next tutorial. So thank you very much for watching this tutorial, and I'll see you guys in the next tutorial. Thank you.